For weeks, fans were left with a quiet, unsettling question. Catherine O'Hara, the woman who made millions laugh, cry, and quote her lines for years, was suddenly gone, with only a vague explanation of a brief illness. No drama, no warning, just silence. And for someone so public, that silence felt heavy. Now, new details have finally surfaced, and they change how her final chapter is understood. Behind the scenes, while the world still saw her as sharp, witty, and unstoppable, something far more serious was unfolding, something she never made public. And the truth behind what really caused her passing is far more complex than anyone expected. At first, the information was minimal. A short statement confirmed that Catherine O'Hara had passed away at 71 and that it happened after what was described as a brief illness. No medical explanation, no long timeline, just a carefully chosen phrase that raised more questions than it answered. That vagueness sparked quiet speculation among fans. Some assumed it was sudden. Others wondered if she'd been dealing with something privately for longer than anyone realized. But without details, everything stayed in that uncomfortable gray area, where grief mixes with unanswered questions. And as tributes poured in from co-stars and fans alike, one thing became clear. There was much more to this story that hadn't yet been revealed. The answers finally came days later, and they were sobering. Official records confirmed that Catherine O'Hara passed away due to a pulmonary embolism, a sudden and often unpredictable medical emergency where a blockage stops blood from reaching the lungs. What made this revelation even more heartbreaking was what led to it. The embolism didn't come out of nowhere. It was triggered by an underlying health battle she had kept completely private. According to the documentation, she had been quietly dealing with rectal cancer, something she never spoke about publicly and never allowed to define her in the spotlight. To most people, a pulmonary embolism sounds sudden, and it is, but in cases like this, it's often the final complication of a much longer, hidden struggle, and that revelation added an entirely new layer to her passing, one that fans were never prepared for. The death certificate offered a few more intimate details, painting a quieter, more personal picture of her final days. Alongside the medical causes, it confirmed that Catherine O'Hara had been cremated, a choice that underscored the private way she approached even the most personal moments of her life. It also revealed how quickly the news spread. TMZ was the first to report the specifics of her cause of death, turning private documents into a public revelation almost overnight. Fans who had mourned her loss were suddenly confronted with the full reality, a mix of shock, sadness, and admiration for the way she carried herself through life, even in moments no one else could see. And while the world now knew the medical facts, it was clear that behind them was a woman who had always prioritized her craft and her family, keeping her struggles quietly tucked away. But her story was far from just the end. It was the beginning of remembering the remarkable journey she had taken. Before Catherine O'Hara became a household name, her life was rooted in ordinary beginnings. Born in Toronto in 1954, she was the second youngest of 7 children, growing up in a bustling household where her father worked for the Canadian Pacific Railway and her mother handled real estate. From an early age, she showed a spark for performance. Her very first role was portraying the Virgin Mary in a local nativity play, a small part that hinted at the immense talent waiting to emerge. After high school, she took a job as a waitress at Toronto's Second City Theatre, a place known for launching some of the most legendary comedic talents. That job wasn't glamorous, but it put her right in the heart of a world that would shape her career. Surrounded by actors and improvisers, she honed her timing, her wit, and her ability to read a room, skills that would become the foundation for her future success. Even in these early years, it was clear that Catherine wasn't just chasing fame. She was building a craft, quietly learning the art of comedy and storytelling in ways that would later make her unforgettable on screens large and small. But the real breakthrough was still waiting just around the corner. That breakthrough arrived when Catherine O'Hara stepped into the world of Christopher Guest's mockumentaries. In 1996, she appeared in Waiting for Guffman, marking the start of a collaboration that would define much of her early film career. Her sharp comedic instincts and impeccable timing made her a standout, even among a cast of equally talented performers. She went on to appear in Best in Show in 2000 and A Mighty Wind in 2003, where she shared the screen with Eugene Levy, creating moments that were equal parts hilarious and surprisingly heartfelt. Critics took notice too. People once called her the gifted queen of the bittersweet, a nod to her ability to blend comedy with subtle emotional depth. Her work in these films wasn't just about laughs, it was about connection. The characters she brought to life were flawed, relatable, and unforgettable, leaving an impression that audiences carried long after the credits rolled. And this foundation would eventually lead her to the role that made her a true cultural icon, a role that would define the next chapter of her career. That defining chapter came with Schitt's Creek, the series that turned Catherine O'Hara into a household name for a whole new generation. Teaming up once again with Eugene Levy, and under the creative guidance of his son, Dan Levy, she brought to life Moira Rose, a character as eccentric as she was captivating. From her over-the-top fashion choices to her wildly unique way of speaking, Moira quickly became iconic, proving that Catherine could command a screen like few others. Her performance didn't just earn laughs, it earned accolades. In 2020, she won the Emmy for Outstanding Lead Actress in a Comedy Series, a recognition that celebrated not just her talent, but the courage to portray a woman of her age fully embracing who she was. She also took home a Golden Globe and a SAG Award, cementing her place among comedy's elite. Even in acceptance speeches, her gratitude was heartfelt. She spoke openly about how much it meant to work with Eugene and Daniel Levy, highlighting the rare opportunity to play someone unapologetically herself. Schitt's Creek wasn't just a show, it was a platform where Catherine's humor, heart, and humanity shone brighter than ever, and it reminded the world why she was one of the most beloved figures in modern comedy. Would you like me to continue with Section 8, Beyond Schitt's Creek? Other roles, next. Catherine O'Hara's talent extended far beyond Schitt's Creek, proving time and again that she could slip seamlessly into any role, no matter how big or small. On television, she made memorable guest appearances on acclaimed series like 6 Feet Under, Curb Your Enthusiasm, and 30 Rock, each time leaving a lasting impression with her precise comedic timing and natural charm. She even earned an Emmy nomination for her performance in the 2010 TV film Temple Grandin, showing that her range went well beyond comedy. Her voice work also introduced her to a whole new audience, from the whimsical worlds of Frankenweenie and the Addams Family to the vibrant landscapes of Elemental. Her distinctive voice brought characters to life with humor and heart. And even in her later years, she continued to take on exciting projects, appearing in the action film Argylle and the highly anticipated Season 2 of The Last of Us, reminding fans that her creative energy never waned. Every role she embraced, whether live action or animated, showcased the same fearless commitment to craft that had defined her career from the very beginning. Catherine O'Hara wasn't just a comedian or actress, she was a storyteller, capable of turning even the smallest moments into something unforgettable. Beyond the screen, Catherine O'Hara's life was quietly anchored in family. She is survived by her husband, Beau Welsh, and their 2 sons, a trio that remained largely shielded from the public eye. While audiences knew her as Moira Rose or as the clever, quirky characters she brought to life, those closest to her saw a devoted mother and partner who treasured her private moments just as much as her public achievements. Fans and colleagues alike have spoken about the void her passing leaves, not just in comedy, but in the way she made people feel seen, entertained, and genuinely connected. Her influence stretches beyond awards and accolades. It lives in the laughter she inspired, the heartfelt performances she delivered, and the example she set of a woman navigating Hollywood on her own terms.
Even in her final days, Catherine maintained the grace, wit, and humility that defined her career. Her story reminds the world that behind every legendary performer is a person with quiet struggles, private victories, and a legacy that extends far beyond the screen. Catherine O'Hara's life and career leave a legacy that's both luminous and bittersweet. She made millions laugh, yet quietly faced challenges the world never saw. From her humble beginnings in Toronto to becoming an Emmy-winning star, she showed that talent, dedication, and heart can create moments that last far beyond a single performance. Her passing reminds us that even those who bring joy to countless lives may carry hidden battles, yet choose to keep their courage and dignity intact. Fans will remember her not just for her unforgettable characters, but for the way she made each role feel alive, unique, and deeply human. In the end, Catherine O'Hara's story is more than a career or a headline. It's a testament to a life lived fully, creatively, and unapologetically. And while her absence leaves a silence, her work continues to inspire laughter, reflection, and admiration for generations to come.